about getting rid of me that easy.
It's like my favorite story to tell because it's so funny. So I was being a good sim. I was being a good person, and I was like, just, you know, trying to make some friends in that game, talking to other sims, like, hey, you know, sim, I like this. They're like, oh, hey, I like that too. And I'm like, cool, cool. And then, like, all of a sudden, this dude comes up to me, comes up to my sim, and he's like, hey, girl, you looking fine. And I'm like, ooh, you coming onto my sim? Okay, okay. So then, like, you know, we start flirting and like, hey, and then we get to like, and it becomes my sim's romantic interest and everything. So then I find out something that my friend, my sim has a best friend, you know, her girl, her main hoe, where they talk shit about all the other sims. Well, it turns out that that sim that my girl was dating was my girl's best friend's husband. And I was like, oh no! That is so awful. But I honestly didn't know. Because he came up to me. He came up to my sim, you know, and he started putting the moves on her. So I was like, ooh, hello, okay. Hell yeah, dude. And then I was like, well, okay. I didn't. How I found that out was I was like, hey girl, can I come to your house for some girl time? And she's like, hell yeah. So I'm like, sweet. So I go over to my girl's house, you know, thinking, hell yeah, I'm gonna go to my girl's house and we're gonna like just talk shit about all these other sims in the neighborhood. And what do you know? I see my sim. Oops. Oh yeah, I gotta clean up on my mouse. There's like a lot of fur there. I see my sim's man there, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing here? And then I realize, I'm like, oh no, that's my sim's best friend's husband. Now, what I could have done, the smart thing I should have done, would have been to just been like, hey dude, that ain't cool. Like, you can't date me and you're dating my best friend? Like, the fuck? No, that's not what I did. What I did was I was like, okay, while still being in my best friend's house, my poor best friend's sim, dude. Like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna talk to this man. And one of the options that it gave my sim was to convince him to break up with his wife. And I was like, oh my god! So that's what I did. I had this man break up with my sim's best friend. And so after that, you know, she and I, we obviously have a falling out, and we're no longer best friends. But so after that, you know, he and I, we go steady, and so he's like my boyfriend now. And he still lives with her, by the way. And they have like, they had like a family and everything. They had like kids. And I'm like, oh god, I'm a homewrecker. My sim's a freaking homewrecker, dude. Oh, but it doesn't stop there though. It gets better. It gets so much better. So like, you know, after a couple of sim days, I decide to like, okay, you know, I think me and this sim, I think me and this man, we're ready for the next step, to get married. So that's, you know, I'm like, hell man, let's get married. And he's like, fuck yeah. So then we get married, right? And then I move into his house because my house is really shitty. And cause you know, I just moved. My sim just moved to that town, and I just started my game. You know, so I was only in like the beginnings of the game. So I barely had any money. My job was really shitty, and my house was really shitty. And then I meet this rich man. And shit. So then I marry him, and like, of course I move into his house because I'm like, your house is so much better than mine. Hell yeah. And I get access to his money. I get his money. His money becomes my money. So then what I do? So, no, it gets so much better. So then after that, you know, after I've moved in and his house is like, you know, I'm like, hell yeah, dude, this house is my house. Your millions are like my millions. Hell yeah. Where the fuck is she? So now that I'm like, I went from poor to being rich. Hell yeah. So I throw a party for moving in. I'm like, hell yeah. And you know, I have like stepkids too, because he had kids and everything. And my ex-best friend and his ex-wife still live there. Because it's a big house. They still live there. So I throw a party, right? And they had a pool, so I throw like a really cool little like pool party. I'm like, hell yeah, dude. Freaking pool party. To celebrate the fact that like I'm rich now. But it's not any kind of pool party. My guests would never leave. So what I did was, after my it was just a normal party, you know, like, oh hell yeah, haha, fun. And then when my sim got tired of swimming and she got out of the pool and she walked away from the pool to get some food, I immediately go into build mode, right? And I put fencing all around the pool. So that way all the sims, including my sim's husband, fucking drown. It's so fucked up. It's so funny, but it's so fucked up. I'm like fucking crying over here. Oh my god. So that's what happened. So I killed all of those sims that were in the pool. Including my husband. So then my sim became a widow. And I kicked, and my ex-best friend too, she was in the pool too, so she perished as well. And I kicked my stepkids out, and then I was like, hey, yo, I have a bachelorette pack. That's like my favorite story to tell of the fucked up shit I do in that game. funny though. God damn. Oh my god, dude.